Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the August 17th, 2022 meeting of the Daytona Beach City Commission. We're happy, glad, and excited to have each of you with us this evening. At this time, I would ask Ms. LaMagna to read the agenda for tonight.
Okay, I'm going to do the roll.
Oh, you don't do that. You don't do that anymore. That's why you tripped me up. You're taking that off the agenda. What is that? That's not right.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner Cantu?
Here.
Commissioner Henry?
Present.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Traeger?
Here.
Mayor Derek L. Henry?
Here. At this time, we will have our invocation led by Commissioner Traeger, and the Pledge of Allegiance led by who I'm not sure.
Commissioner Strickland.
Commissioner Strickland.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this beautiful day and for looking over us with such gentleness and helping us with all our problems. We ask that you bless the city, you bless the commission, that we can make wise and good decisions for our city. You bless our residents, you bless our first responders, police, fire, anyone who works to help make our city a better place, our employees of the city and everyone else. Please look upon us and make us make the right decisions. We bless you. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I ask something of you before we get started?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we pause about 8 o'clock and say a silent prayer for police officer Jason Rayner in his memory? They're having a candlelight vigil tonight. It's been a year since he was killed in action.
Well, Commissioner, I'm hoping not to be here at 8 o'clock. I hope to be out of here as quickly as possible at 7:30, because I intend to be there. But if you all are stuck here talking and I have to leave, I've never left before, but I don't plan to stay here
We
long
pause
tonight.
as a commission and
You're welcome to pause, but
thank you.
if we're done with our business, I'm gone to be at the ceremony. Okay?
Okay.
Let's move it expeditiously.
Move
Yes,
on to
ma'am.
item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes of the July 6th and the July 20th City Commission meetings.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. At this time, we will hear if we have any agenda changes from our city manager.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we have item 8A, Business Enterprise Management Department, Two Soul Sisters. Concession agreement, the correct amount for the rent should be $1,750 a month and not $17,500. Item 8T, change the donation from $5,000 to $2,500 to Campbell Middle School to provide support to the Campbell Night Alive program. And $320 to Campbell Middle School to cover the cost of bus transportation and admission to Halifax Historical Museum, and I believe that's Commissioner May. Add item 8U, First Amendment to the lease agreement between the City of Daytona Beach, Florida, Daytona Beach Community Foundation, Inc., and the Daytona Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Add item 8V, Legal Department injunction proceedings for 1145 Exits Road. Add item 10B, Development and Administrative Services Department, 2022 Master Plan for Public Property, BWP 2022-003. Add item 10C, Development and Administrative Services Department, temporary event parking associated with Biketoberfest 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. Do we have any questions, corrections? None? Okay.
Motion to accept the agenda with said changes.
Second.
We have a motion. We'll take from Commissioner Reed. We'll take a second from Commissioner Henry. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. We don't have any presentations tonight, so we'll move on to item 7. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item on the consent agenda. And Kathy, unless that item is, let's see. I have one speaker, Mr. Frederick Brown.
Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. I would be remiss if I didn't, once again, remind City Council that you have opportunities to put in some electric vehicles here instead of just purely ICE cars. If you followed any of the recent news, and you also look at the costs of maintenance, you look at the costs of fuel, without a doubt, you need to start considering it. You need to start doing it now. When you keep pushing it off, getting these long-term agreements for vehicle purchases, when you're locking in on old technology, especially in vehicles that are used by the police department, where they constantly have to get in and out. So much security with the electric vehicles. There's so much energy to be saved, taxpayer dollars to be saved. And as I said, the maintenance is minimal, so your downtime is minimal. So these are all things that you need to start really looking seriously at. Again, I bring this up, got 2 agenda items on that regarding that for purchases. One for the water, and of course the rest for the police. Also on 8C, this is something I've been long in favor of, the paddle boats. But I did want you to think about this. You know, we have it currently at the Halifax. As I was walking on the Memorial Bridge, taking in the sights, paddle boats going up and down, beauty of the Halifax River, I said, you know, this will be a perfect tie-in because one of the nice things about the recreation center on Orange Avenue is it's right on the water. And it would be nice to be able to tie boat tours in with that and then make it part of the historical. Now, I've read their website, you know, and they don't really have an organized tour for that, but that would certainly be a nice tie-in to the city. Be able to bring the tour, and they also have, as you're probably aware of, the trolley system, and it would be nice to be able to tie all the veterans things, such as the museum, and of course the Heritage Trail in center part of the city as well, be able to tie all these things together. But I would like you to make sure you think about the possibilities of Orange Avenue Recreation. Thank you.
And I believe that was my only speaker for the consent agenda. Are you speaking on the consent agenda? You guys need to make sure you turn your forms in when the item is called.
I had no pen. You wait for a pen.
Go ahead.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. 2 items. 1I on the poles for leisure services, the softball fields. We've always had a problem with maintenance. If these poles, if something happened to them and it was a last-minute thing, I can understand putting it on the consent agenda. Otherwise, it should be in the leisure services budget. So I'm asking to make sure that we check yearly all of our facilities. If there's something needed in air conditioning, whatever, electrical, that it be planned for the budget, for the future budget, rather than have to wait till the last minute when something goes wrong. Secondly, with the lease at the Dickerson Center for the NAACP for $1 a year, is that standard policy? Do all nonprofits, are they able to lease from the city for $1 a year? If not everybody gets this, then one should not get it. So we either have a policy that everybody gets it for $1 a year, which I don't think we have, or they should be charged the same amount that the Boys and Girls Club gets charged and everybody else. Thank you.
That was my final speaker for the consent agenda.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Cantu. We'll take a second from Commissioner
No.
May.
I don't want to pull this, but I would like to call Andy up just to clarify a few things on item 8S, DTS equipment.
Excuse me.
Good evening, Andy Holmes, Assistant City Manager.
Hi, Andy. There's a lot of misinformation out there about our DTS facility that's been closed since October 2021. And I just want to clear this up with the public that we never attended to actually use this for our drinking water. Could you?
Yeah, that project was a research project that was conducted by the city. It started in 2018 and finished about a year ago. The actual research and the report is imminent from the consultant, but that was a very small scale research project. The amount of water that could be is about 1% of our daily consumption of water, potable water in the city. So it wasn't ever intended to be an addition to our water supply or anything like that. And there's no regulatory framework right now for that anyway. So it was a research project. The equipment is not in use. It was never connected to the potable water system. The discharge from that treatment system was discharged back into the wastewater treatment plant. There was never a physical connection between the two plants.
When you say there's no regulatory procedure or mechanism, explain that in layman's terms.
The law doesn't allow that as a source for drinking water.
Thank you.
It is illegal. Okay.
Correct.
And okay.
And the equipment that we are surplusing out, we're not surplusing it out so we can buy other equipment for a bigger facility.
No, the equipment just has residual value and it's not usable. It wasn't usable as equipment in our system anyway. It was a different method of treating water, and it was purely a research project. So the equipment wouldn't have any value to anybody to do an actual municipal treatment system.
And surplusing out, could you tell me about time frame on this?
Yeah, since the value exceeds $5,000, there's a commission action required to declare the equipment surplus. And once that action is done, there's a quarterly auction that's held. And so if it were to be auctioned within 3 or 4 months, we could have it liquidated. If there's another alternative way to dispose of it that makes more sense for the city, I believe the ordinance allows for that as well. But 3 or 4 month time frame is pretty typical.
Okay, and then there's a bill called Senate Bill 64. It was passed in 2021. Can you tell me if that's actually toilet to tap, and what expires in 2031 that the municipalities need to have done?
What that bill is about is removing the provision for a discharge to a water body of treated wastewater and requiring land-based discharge alternatives for wastewater. So it's not a toilet to tap bill. It doesn't authorize toilet to tap. It doesn't set up regulations regarding that. All it does, from my reading of the bill, is imposes a requirement to eliminate the river or lake discharge or ocean discharge of treated wastewater and make you do a land-based discharge.
So pretty much making it almost as drinking water to put it back in the aquifer if you wanted to do that, correct?
Yeah, the land, when you discharge to a land-based discharge point, what you do is recharge the aquifer with the liquid instead of putting it in the
And
ocean.
there were some other little opponents on there that I found out by calling some friends in Tallahassee as well. Like there was something for developers in there as well that could give them incentives by actually doing tap to toilet, and they could get incentives from the state, which that should be coming out here soon.
Yeah,
too.
there are some incentives for developers if they implement some water conservation measures in their designs, and what that essentially is taking water from shower discharges and dishwasher discharges and sinks and using it to flush the toilets, and that would cut down water consumption quite a bit. So there's some incentives for that in the bill.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was very nice of you, and I don't want to be here long tonight, but this 8S, or 8, which it had my attention, and I don't know how it became an issue for us, but it is on our agenda, but it is about as irrelevant or unnecessary an action as I've ever seen. And it's really something that people have politicized and made as much of it as they could when there is nothing to it. And we've stated over and over and over again that there's nothing we can do with it, and we don't have any desire. But I want to say that I want to make certain that we don't allow political distractions to become our business. You know, we've got more important business, and we've explained this 1,000 times. And we don't want to be, you know, the county is considering some of this from what I've read. It's nonsense. And I will leave it at that, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it and not say that it is what it is. It's nonsense.
Yeah, actually, the county is not doing this, just someone on the county is doing this. And the reason I wanted it to be surplus, just to show the residents, this equipment is worthless, the plant is closed.
Okay.
To relieve some of the things. But you are absolutely correct. This is totally worthless what we're doing.
And for the record, I would be favorable of making an ordinance that says that we couldn't use toilet to tap unless the residents voted to approve that. But, because I don't want toilet to tap, none of us do. But it's buffoonery, just the whole conversation that keeps coming up in social media. So hopefully this action will help to put it to rest. And no pun intended. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 9, which is our public hearings. Item 9A is the Development Administrative Services Planning Division, Logistics Park, Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on first reading public hearing. An ordinance adopting large-scale comprehensive plan amendments in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2, Florida statute, in relation to 859.6 plus acres of land, the subject property, generally located northwest of the intersection of West International Speedway Boulevard and Fire Tower Road, amending the future land use map designation for portions of the subject property from City General Industry, 20.4 plus acres, County Industrial, 0.5 plus acres, County Mixed Use, 2.1 plus acres, County Low Impact Urban, 5.9 plus acres, and County Urban Low Intensity, 0.7 plus acres, to City Mixed Use, amending the future land use element Neighborhood B development policy to limit development intensity for the subject property, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. This is a public hearing on this first reading. I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here for any questions or comments for the commission.
Could Mr. Merrill repeat to me what he did tell me about the aquifer and the water recharge area?
Be quick. And we're on a deadline. Rob Merrill for the record, 149 South Ridgewood, Cobb Cole. Ruth asked me a question about whether this particular project was in an area of high recharge. I found the high recharge map that the county publishes, and from what I can tell, the high recharge areas are significantly west of this property.
And don't this already have all zoning and land use already?
Yeah, so Stacy, this is actually, when the map gives you, is a little deceiving. The 859.6 acres is what you guys approved a few years ago. The piece down there in the bottom right is what we're talking about today in terms of the land use map amendment. So we've got to put in mixed use on that piece down there that we acquired.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The public hearing and final action for this item is October 19th. Moving on to item 9B. It's the Development Administrative Services Planning Division, Second Amendment to Project Longboard Comprehensive Sign Plan. This is a resolution public hearing. A resolution approving an amended comprehensive sign plan, CSP, for Project Longboard Plan District located on the east side of South Atlantic Avenue, north of Braddock Avenue, and south of East International Speedway Boulevard to reflect the replacement of several signs that were previously authorized for the site of the Landshark Bar and Grill at 471 South Atlantic Avenue with an EMC monument sign along the restaurant's Atlantic Avenue frontage, repealing all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second.
And I do have Mr. Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions, and no additional speakers.
All right, do we have any questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Moving on to item 9C, it's a Finance Department ordinance on amending master lease agreement with Truist Bank. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Daytona Beach, Florida, authorizing the execution of Schedule of Property Number 4 to the Master Equipment Lease Purchase Agreement with Truist Bank, sponsored by the Florida League of Cities, Inc., authorizing the lease purchase financing of acquisition and installation of certain equipment herein described, authorizing the execution and delivery of an acquisition fund agreement, authorizing execution of such other documents as may be necessary to complete the transactions completed hereby, and providing an effective date. And it's been asked that this item be continued to the September 7th, 2022 City Commission meeting.
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner May. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
We'll now move on to item number 10, which is our administrative items. Item 10A is the Legal Department Settlement Agreement for the Special Warranty Deeds and Repeal of Right-of-Way Vacation for Ridgewood Heights Subdivision River Approach. This is a resolution. A resolution approving settlement in the case of the City of Daytona Beach versus Elena A. France and Donald A. and Cheryl A. Trufano, providing for transfer of to the city by special warranty deeds of certain properties identified in the Bridgeport Heights subdivision plat as the river approach, subject to conditions, providing for repeal of by separate resolution of City Resolution 2020-120, approving the right-of-way vacation of the river approach and providing for compensation to the owners, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, authorizing the city manager to execute documents and take such actions as may be necessary to implement the agreement and to accept title of the property and providing an effective date.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Should we have speakers?
Yes, we have a number of speakers, Mr. Mayor. Our first speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is Corbin Kisner.
(1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach). It was a rather hasty motion and second on this, and I noticed, as it was when it was given away in just 6 seconds. I did quite a bit of research on this all the way back to Matthias Day when he founded Daytona, and looked up the properties and who owned what, and even though some of the records are very difficult to research, I find it amazing that this land was given away by the city without one bit of title research in the entire project. So in going back, a little bit of a timeline might let you know the intents of the two people that profited from this action. When the property was purchased at 2314 in 1999, there was an immediate request to put on a nice big garage, as the owner, of course, was very well known with his auto dealerships. The plan was submitted and approved, very interestingly, with a driveway turned 90 degrees into public land. Now, I find it very interesting it was not questioned by, but after talking to numerous employees here at the City Hall, it seems that the concept here is if you got the right last name, you get what you want. Now, I know some of you may think that's not the case. I can assure you it is the case. There was a lot going on in the city with various car dealerships at the time, so a lot of this stuff was getting approved without even batting an eye. After this went through 2 years of construction, then they asked for, and I did not get the minutes from the meeting yet. I did do a records request, but I haven't gotten a response back yet. Board of Adjustments, almost 2 years later, said, oh, yeah, gee, we'd like to have an adjustment to take this driveway in. That's wrong. And by you voting for this agreement, if you've read it carefully, not only do they want to exonerate their misdeeds from extra driveways, okay, they want additional land on there. The property is actually 250 feet, and they want half of it for the paving that went on by the city partner, PS Paving, no permit. And when you approve things like this, you're saying, I guess the rules don't apply if you have the right last name. We need to stop doing business this way. It's becoming transparent. It's no longer just hidden things behind doors. These things got approved because the right people had the right names. I've done my homework. I'll be glad to discuss it with any of you in person, but I really think you need to table this motion. Additionally, the DEC Act was never properly filed. You'll hear more about that later, but the cover letter was not properly submitted. It basically is in the dead letter file.
Our next speaker is Corbin Kisner, and on deck is Deborah Kirkland.
Hi, my name's Colburn Kinzer, and I live at 2318 South Peninsula Drive, Daytona Beach. I just wanted to know, what is the status of the DEC action, Mr. Jagger?
The DEC action has been filed with the circuit court.
Has there been any discussion with the court regarding said DEC action since it's been filed?
Mayor, do you want me to continue with the dialogue? I'll follow your direction. Your question is, sir?
My question was, has there been any dialogue with the court regarding said DEC action about?
There would be, in a typical case, no dialogue with the court until motions are filed. At this point, answers, responsive pleadings have not been filed.
Okay, so has it been reviewed by the court, or is it just kind of sitting there?
The court would not review anything at this point in a DEC action.
And I'm confused as why that they wouldn't review anything yet at this point if we filed it. That it wouldn't be in a SKU and an order to be seen, or how does that work?
In a DEC action, the parties need to be served. Once they're served, they have 30 days to respond. Typically, there are extensions granted in order for them to prepare their responsive pleadings. There may be motions to dismiss. Following the initial pleading stage, then we would move to perhaps have some discovery, followed by a hearing in front of the court.
Okay, so
I have a question. Don't they have an attorney?
They do, of course.
I do not have an attorney.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do not have an attorney. So the court has not contacted the city regarding the DEC action whatsoever?
The court is not allowed to contact either party. That would be an improper communication.
Okay. Every time I come up here, I'm not opposed to the agreement the way it is. It's not terrible. I think that we should have filed the DEC action that you all voted on back in January. That would have given everybody a seat at the table, even the residents. The DEC action, we could have put on the DEC action as additional plaintiffs, if you will, however it goes. But it's been 7 months, and every time I come up here and I talk about stuff like that and I don't get an answer about it, I feel like I'm on the defensive, just like with the dirt bikes riding in the backyard that you never gave me pictures of, Mr. Fiacher. And, you know, we're going to bring the full force of the Parks and Recreation District. It's not a Park and Recreation District full-blown thing, but we, the residents, didn't do anything wrong. And it was your idea to file the DEC action in August. And that was back in January, and we should have done that ahead of time. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's still, it boggles my mind that it's taken this long.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Deborah Kirkland, and on deck is Randy Gray.
Deborah Kirkland, 127 Bridgeport Road. Before you vote, let me tell you some of the events that took place prior to the 2020 resolution so you can judge for yourself whether the city just made a simple mistake. In 1999, Bud Ritchie and his wife purchased the home adjacent to the north side of the right-of-way. That same year, he applied for a building permit, which included the addition of a 30-foot by 30-foot garage. He then made the decision to move the proposed garage door location and driveway from South Halifax Drive to the public right-of-way without proper authority. Soon after, Alana France, who lives adjacent to the south side of the approach, followed suit by adding a driveway onto the same right-of-way. This began their systematic takeover as they claimed it as their own and started using it for ingress, egress, parking, planting, removal of signage intended for the public, and blocking public access. As for the city's knowledge or lack thereof, construction projects require many inspections, including a final permit inspection. Therefore, the city must have begun its journey of covering up Mr. Ritchie's deliberate takeover at this time. Sometime later, Mr. Ritchie had nearly half of the public right-of-way paved with asphalt without pulling a permit, further claiming it as his own. He used the paving company that partners with the city. So I ask you to consider, what paving company would lay a private driveway without a valid permit in hand if it wasn't for their connections? In 2011, while his father was mayor of the city, Mr. Ritchie started the process of documenting his takeover of the right-of-way by applying for and receiving a post-construction side yard/street variance, which basically allows him to file an updated survey documenting all his previous changes. Variances are always acquired pre-construction, therefore a post-construction application is a telltale sign that construction was done in violation of state and local building codes. The Ritchies listed their home in 2015, lowering the price 2 times before removing the listing. One could speculate their lack of ownership of the right-of-way may have become problematic. They listed the home again in April 2019, but by June, both France and Ritchie made application to vacate the right-of-way located between their 2 homes. Why would someone seek ownership of a right-of-way while they are under contract to sell their home unless it was pertinent to the sale? The city's planning board quickly recommends adoption of the resolution, and the Tefanios close on the Ritchie's home about 2 weeks later with the promise of that ownership of right-of-way was all but a done deal. In closing, Mr. Jagger was ordered to file the deck action last January to get to the bottom of this, which has still not been properly done. He continues to claim that the city has done nothing wrong, but I'm telling you that these events could not have happened without oversight from the city. I challenge you by saying that if you truly believe this was all handled above board, then go ahead and vote to accept this one-sided settlement. Thank you.
Is Randy Gray, and on deck is Margaret Gurin.
My name is Randy Gray. I live at 2301 South Halifax Drive, Daytona Beach. For 96 years, all of Bridgeport Heights had the same rights to the access. I'm not asking for as much as the recipients because it seems like they may be a little bit better than I am and deserve a little bit more. I have never been rewarded for filling out a false application. And if I did that where I came from, I would have been grounded for life. I would have never seen the light of day. All I'm asking for is to be able to go fishing, shrimping, and enjoying the water for various sports. Flounder gigging entails a light after dark. Some of our best shrimping can be done high tide going out after dark. Both are after hours that you have set in the agreement. Please don't take my privilege away. It's my little honey hole and means more than you can imagine. Who do I need to ask for permission to do that? Or should I just go down and use it and ask for forgiveness later? It seems to be the norm down there. But I understand the spirit of compromise, and with the removal of dock and warranty deeds in 24 hours, I would agree with the signing. And last, before you vote, Sarah Metz's firm should be reimbursed by the city as part of this agreement. Without her grace, professionalism, and expertise, we would not be where we are today, and that is a very small price to pay. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Margaret, is it Gurn? And on deck is Elizabeth Gurn.
Hello, I'm Margaret Guerin, and I've only recently become aware of the situation because many people in Bridgeport Heights aren't even aware that this is an issue that's going on right now. And I think that more people would have come forward and more people would have spoken if our community knew more about this issue that seems to be going on without most of our knowledge, because I learned about this last week. So I haven't spoken as this has been going on as it has for at least 20 years since the property was like given away without permission. And since it is coming back, I'm now aware of it. And I think that we should make our community more aware of these issues, as it is important as a community to have all of our voices heard in these situations. And sorry, this is my first time doing one of these. Anyway, I haven't done as much research as Deb over here. She's been lovely. She had a whole thing going on. And I just am here as a body to show that our community does care, and we want to be part of the voice of our little city. So that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you. Our next is Elizabeth Guerin, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Hey everybody, I'm Elizabeth Guerin of 117 Harrison Road. I also only became recently aware of this issue, and I'm just here to say that we are opposed to this settlement agreement because it is unjust and unfair to the residents of Bridgeport Heights, like myself and my sister Margaret, and it would impede our ability to have as much beach recreation and anything that we regularly, and that's all that I really have to say, is that we should really reconsider this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Doyle Lewis.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. Yeah, I went to the location, okay? There's an exact location north of the city and University. If you go down University and you get to the end, much like this one, you end up with weeds and trash and garbage, and you can't have access to the river. This location, when you go down, it's paved to their driveways, just like University. There's a house there that they paved it down to that University. Plus, they paved it so that they can get to the condominiums to the south side of Collins Park. So there is precedence to this. Secondly, if you look at the area at the south or the east and west end of University, it's just all garbage, weeds, 5-10 feet high. You can't access the river. This one, you could access the river with a very tiny section. The mangroves, literally, if you go to the property, have gone across 29 feet of the 30 feet. The pictures that you've seen where they replanted the mangroves is on the lady's property on the south side. There was one mangrove, one stick, in the public right-of-way. All the rest of it was on her property. What they had done is they had dug up her property because that's where the least amount of mangroves were. So if you look, they walked down and they cut into her property. So technically, the residents really have had not access to this. They don't have access to the river. What they're getting is access to the river. If the city is able to do so, and they're able to put a ramp onto the east end of the property or the west end of the property to access to the river, then they have access. Right now, they don't have access unless they go on her property or they dig up the mangroves. If you look at the property, it is clean, it's neat, it's well maintained by the two residents. They've done a great, I understand it's illegal. I understand it's a little bit shady, but they've gained from it. That has always looked nice and neat rather than this tangle of weeds and garbage. It's well maintained, and there's no lack of access. They drive, they go into their garage, they're off the road. From what I understand is they don't park on the road. They don't block the road. So residents always have access to that road. So I'm asking you, please don't delay. We've had this 8 months, almost a year. It is a good solution. They get everything they want. So I'm asking you to forward it and not delay it. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Doyle Lewis, and on deck is Sarah Metz. Okay, so my last two are Sarah and Michael Schnapstyler for the applicants. So Doyle's my last speaker.
Good evening on Wednesday. My name is Doyle Lewis, Daytona Beach, United States. I'm probably about the only person here that hasn't got personally involved with this piece of property. I'm probably the only person here that does not know the names of the people that live around the property. I'm just a builder that's been put in a situation on a regular basis between people who cannot come eye to eye with each other. I'm more than likely going to become a lawyer because of the building situation in Volusia County and Flagler County. I appreciate what the city has worked on so hard to get back or to prove to the residents they have access to that river area. Just because somebody who lives beside a piece of property and starts taking care of it, that doesn't mean the ownership. That means you're trespassing. Trust me, I've got trespasses, but I haven't been cleaning up lately because I don't want no more tickets. So I see this as a very quick way for someone to solve a problem. I'm not really interested in hearing about what happened last century because that's a long time ago. I think this should be put to rest and let the people who want to keep arguing on it somehow. Finish this, vote on it, approve it, end it. They're getting access now that they can prove they're getting access to. Everybody there needs to understand you have to find a solution. The longer it goes, it gets worse. My name is Doyle Lewis. But if you're going to put a little bit of access there, make sure all these children can lock down their brand new bicycles because they walk away too. Thank you.
And then, Mr. Mayor, I had one last speaker sign up, Marjorie Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Johnson, come on.
Marjorie Johnson. I'm here tonight to have you all to correct this problem that you all created. You created the problem, so you need to solve it and fix it. You did this under COVID when we wasn't here. You're here to do the people's work. You're not here to take anything from us. And when you did that, that was a disgrace. Before the city manager got here, that they did this. And that means that you're making wrong decisions. It's frankly, you was not here when this happened, because I know you would have spoken against it. And I don't think Ms. Cantu was here either. But I think that you need to do the right thing tonight to correct the problem. These people put cement and everything down the night. If that was me, they wouldn't have allowed it. And then they want to come and say, you got to dig everything up. What you have done here is a wrong. All of you that sat here and voted for, you need to be voted out of office. This is a disgrace. You need to fix it back the way it was. I was very disappointed when I found out that you were giving these people special privileges, and the people need to have access to the property and the river that belong to us. And I would like for you to correct this tonight by doing the right things, whatever that takes. And that way you'll know in the future, don't go behind the residents' back when we're not here at the meeting and give away our public property. I think it's a disgrace. So I say to you tonight, you created the problem, you need to solve it. You're here to do the people's work, and we're having a problem because you're giving away our public property and the people are not happy. Correct it tonight.
Okay, that was my final speaker. And I have Sarah Metz and Michael Schnapstyler here on behalf.
Thank you. Sarah Metz, 444 Seabreeze Boulevard, Daytona Beach. I am here on my own behalf and on behalf of Dan Stone, who is not here tonight, and Randy Gray. You did hear from Mr. Gray tonight. The first thing that I would like to address for everyone is that the reason that Mr. Stone and Mr. Gray decided to hire my firm to assist them in this process is because that got them a seat at the negotiation table. I will not be charging them any money. It is my civic duty, my public, my city, my neighborhood, as much as anyone else's. The amount of time that I've put into this is extensive, but I want you all to know that it's important that we are doing the right thing and that we get it done. To that end, there are two issues that we have remaining. I have spoken with Mr. Jagger, he's aware of this, and Mr. Snapgiler, he's aware of this. The two issues, the first thing is the 24-hour time period. As you heard from Mr. Gray, that is very important to those people who like to use the area for nighttime fishing that would not be allowed in that area, that has traditionally been allowed in that area for 96 years. The second thing that we ask that the City Commission direct negotiation of the word dock out of the special warranty deeds. The special warranty deeds was a discussion amongst the Mr. Snapgiler's clients, Mr. Jagger, and myself, and there was a decision to leave the word dock in the special warranty deeds, which is something that the city would then be precluded from ever being able to build a dock on that property. Now, I'm not saying that the city wants to build a dock on the property. I'm not saying the city will ever build a dock on the property, but the city should not, and it has not for 96 years, been precluded from the possibility of a future, perhaps a small floating dock, or perhaps something that the residents could fish off of. So we're not saying that we want you to build a dock. We're just saying negotiate the word dock out of the special warranty deeds so that you are not, as a city or future commissions, precluded from ever doing so. Now, it doesn't seem plausible to me that the adjacent owners would truly fight the removal of the word dock from the special warranty deeds, and here's why. Because by doing so, they would then be forcing themselves into this declaratory action if the City Commission did not otherwise sign this document. And in that, the City Commission would most likely win that deck action. The adjacent owners' fees and costs, which they're getting through the settlement, would not be paid in that deck action. And in a deck action, they wouldn't be getting all of the restrictions on the property that otherwise the settlement is allowing on the river approach, which is beneficial to the adjacent owners, which gives them a better property value. That are restrictions to the detriment of the public. So we think that the word dock should be removed to allow the city to make that decision in the future. Again, not saying you have to build one, just saying that if you wanted to, you could. Overall, as you've heard from a lot of the residents tonight, and I only represent two of them plus myself, and I can only speak for two of them plus myself. There are a lot of issues that this process of getting the river approach back have highlighted. Those issues with original notice of this to the residents, communication with the residents throughout this process, failure to independently fact check the background of the information. The city had the authority to regulate the property for 96 years, unfettered by any private residents. The settlement agreement is providing restrictions on the property that weren't there. A lot of those restrictions are palatable. A lot of those restrictions we have no issue with, even though they shouldn't be there. We're not going to preclude a settlement agreement with the three of us. But what we're saying is that for 96 years, this was a way to access the Halifax River for the public, the entire public. For 96 years, it lacked formal regulations. For 96 years, there were no issues. So to have the 24-hour time frame, which, and notably, the city can change that after the settlement agreement is entered into. So even if the city chooses to sign the settlement agreement, if you hear from enough residents and you decide to change the time frame, you could still do that per the settlement agreement language, that it is in the City Commission's sole discretion whether to do that or not. But what the city couldn't do later is to potentially build a dock if it wanted to. So the main issue that I see is that we need to take the word dock out of the special warranty deed and to negotiate that point. Aside from those two items, because we do believe, the three of us, in the spirit of negotiation, trying to get this accomplished, move forward, get the pathway across the mangroves so that everyone has access to this beautiful piece of land and to our river, then we would not otherwise object to the city signing the agreement if we make that change. Thank you.
Mr. Schnapps-Tyler?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Michael Schnapps-Tyler with Cobb Coal, 149 South Ridgewood Avenue, on behalf of Alana France and Don and Sherry Tefanio. Thank you for your time this evening, and thank you for the additional time you provided to allow us to work with Ms. Metz, her clients, and Mr. Jagger, bring the settlement agreement before you all. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. A lot of issues were brought up. Just a couple small ones I just want to knock out real quick with respect to the driveway. I've got a 1995 Google Earth image that I printed out. There's tree canopy there. It's really hard to tell. You can see the driveways for all the other properties along Halifax Drive, but you do not see a driveway on what was formerly Mr. Ritchie's property and what's now the Tefanio's property. So just want to provide that to the clerk. And then I do have some photos from 1999 and possibly before that show the driveway entrance on the approach itself. So it does look like the comments were made about the garage and all that being built later in 99. This is 4/20/99. And then there's another photo showing some gates there, no garage there. So I can't speak for what happened in 99, but we feel pretty confident that the driveway has always faced the approach itself. So we'll do that as well. There weren't a lot of comments about the terms of the settlement agreement itself, but I do want to address the two issues brought up by Ms. Metz, the 24 hours. The city does have a standing ordinance that says all recreational facilities are open from 1 hour before sunrise to 1 hour after sunset. And so we did hear the comments at the last meeting about opening up for later. And so what we've proposed is from dawn to dusk. So 1 hour before dawn and 1 hour after dusk, which on a day like today would provide approximately 50 minutes more use of the area from what you use or what you allow at your other recreational facilities within the city of Daytona Beach. And that's in the terms of the settlement agreement itself. Regarding the dock, as presented to us, our understanding was the main goal was to keep this area operating in the same manner that it always has been before or at the time of the right-of-way vacation. We agree with that approach. And here the area has not been historically used for a dock. If you look up the textbook definition of the term dock, structures extending from a shoreline primarily used for mooring of boats. We know that motorized boats have never been operated or used at this property. And so the area has been developed. People have moved in, they've made investments on their properties, with the knowledge that no dock has ever been there or mooring of boats have occurred. A small dock close to the river would limit the room available for swimming, fishing, shrimping, launching of the non-motorized vehicle crafts like kayaks and canoes. It takes up space. A small dock would also encourage use of motorized watercraft. A traditional dock would likely need to be set way far out into the Halifax River because the depth of water along the river approach for a number of feet is just 1 foot. If you look at most of the residences out there that have docks, they extend hundreds of feet out to the river. So alternatively, you would have to dredge, which is a very significant cost and expense with very difficult permitting processes through the MPDES process and the Army Corps of Engineers or the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. A dock would require additional rules and measures to prevent improper use. It creates liability concerns, especially since the neighborhood doesn't have a homeowners association that would accept liability for anything that happens out there or be responsible for maintaining it. If you built a dock out there, even a floating dock, it would be a city liability and obligation. In addition, our clients are concerned that a dock out there would create commercialization of the area. People would be encouraged to drive their cars up there, park up there. And if you look at the other river approaches along this portion of the Halifax River, Sunset Park in Ormond Beach, Sunset Park in Daytona Beach Shores, Riverside Park in Ormond Beach, which is along the one-way side there are no docks extending from any of those areas. Regarding the ability to regulate land. The city commission makes decisions every time it meets about regulations affecting land. When you make a land use change, when you make a zoning change, when you approve a site plan, which happens at the planning board, you are impacting how land is used. And we see this issue is no different than that. There hasn't been a dock out there for 96 years. And that's why we drafted this agreement this way with that in mind. We know that this has been emotional for everybody. Our clients, the residents, even folks at City Hall, and people are very passionate about this on all sides. We've endeavored on behalf of our clients to understand the key issues. I think the settlement agreement is a significant improvement from what you all had the first time we came here. Since you directed us to work with the residents, we've had 11 meetings, conference calls, or exchanges of information with Ms. Metz and Mr. Jagger. So that's since July 6th. We've worked really hard on this. And that doesn't include any of the internal discussions that Ms. Metz has had with her clients, we've had with our clients, and your attorneys had with the city. Our clients want to see, a resolution where there's no ambiguity or confusion about what the rights are with respect to the property. And we feel that this agreement accomplishes that. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and thank you for your time this evening.
All right. Thank you. Comments from the commission?
I think this agreement is great. I actually see a problem if you put a dock out there. Someone who goes out on boats, you're gonna have people coming all the time trying to dock out there. And then the city's gonna have a problem. So that's my personal opinion.
Commissioner Reed.
I think that we have gone above and beyond in trying to rectify this. Even when this happened, those folks that lived there at that time don't reside there anymore. So why should we punish the ones who currently live there for something that happened prior to? Contrary to popular belief, I trust our lawyer. And I believe that Bob has done and has said everything that is truthful in regards to trying to satisfy the situation.
Great.
And I don't appreciate his character being challenged. And I am prepared to vote this evening. And I also don't believe in a dock.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
We made a mistake. I don't think we ought to halfway try to fix the mistake. I think we ought to go all the way and fix the mistake.
We have. We have.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't here when this happened. I hate that it happened. I'm pretty sure I was sitting out on the, whatever you want to call it, porch, the lanai or the stoop, whatever, with a speaker there and watching the screen inside. And we usually pay pretty good attention, and we missed it. I feel like that now that everything's been brought out into the light of day, I know what has gone on there for 96 years, and there's never been a dock. And I feel like that it's never going to be to the letter of what it was for 96 years. This might be as good as it ever did. And, it shouldn't have been done to start with, but we can't put it back exactly like it was because it falls under our rules, our park rules and stuff. And so, and we put a lot of time into this, and I don't want to anger the residents of Bridgeport, but I think it's time to put it to rest, because if we don't, it could end up with no access period if one of the parties or both of them decided that they didn't want to play the game anymore, or possibly, or more legal fees. Let's vote.
I'm good with no dock as well. That's it.
I don't feel comfortable making one set of rules for our parks and recreation for just one park or recreation as opposed to what they are for all the other ones. I think it would set a precedent. People would come in and say, you allow this park to do this at this time, but now we can't do it when we want to do it in our area at that time. So I'm not comfortable with that. I like the rules to be what they are for our facilities, our parks, recreation, I like for them to be the same because I would be the person to come up and say, well, you let them do this when I want to do something different. So, because there's a lot of times when I want to do something different than what the rules may absolutely be. I'm not the only one. So, but I understand that the rules are what they are. So I feel comfortable making sure that everything is good across the board for all of our facilities and what the rules are. And I'm prepared to vote. I think Bob has done a wonderful job going back and forth and 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 back and forth to try and make this right and to correct this. I appreciate it. I understand the concerns of the residents, but I also understand the concerns of it's just time to let's let the cards fall where they may at this point as far as let's vote. If they're not okay with it and they're going to move forward with more litigation, then we'll deal with that when it comes. But I'm ready to vote.
Okay.
And I agree, Mr. Jagger has done, he's went way beyond.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Bob, let me ask you a question. Before we made this mistake, was it legal for people to shrimp down there past, 8 o'clock or whatever?
Was it legal? So this was never within our park system. It was treated by the city as right-of-way, which might explain why the driveway was put in. It actually was road at that time, I'm assuming. Of course, I wasn't here, but certainly the city could have constructed the roadway for the access to the neighboring properties without any permits. So was it legal for them to go there? I would say they weren't prohibited from going there, but it really wasn't part of our park system. So it kind of fell between the cracks in terms of our own management of the property.
Is it a park now? Do we consider it a park?
We will consider it a park after this, and it'll be part of our park system.
Will be, because we will control it.
And this was really the point of the deck action. The property was deeded to us, and the reason there was such confusion, it was acquired, I should say, through a plat, which is dated in 1926. And so some of the language is a bit archaic, and the purpose of the deck action would have been to try to decipher the meaning of that 1926 plat. And so the issue involved there was to determine, was it a right-of-way? Could the city have vacated the right-of-way? Was it also a park or alternatively a park? Because the language used in the plat was river approach. It was not river road or something to that effect. So it would have been up to the court to say whether it was a park or a road or both a road and a park. And certainly there is a scenario where the property owners would have acquired full title to the property and been able to prevent any residents from going through the area to the river.
To the people of Bridgeport Heights, I am sorry that we have arrived at this point and that this ever happened. As the mayor, I have done everything that I know how to do to try to rectify the situation. So much to the point that I was even prepared to just pass it on again. But that's not going to happen tonight, because I don't have the votes to support that. And I would have to say that I believe that in my heart that my colleagues are right. Sometimes you do things that you make a mistake and you can't fully fix it. And I wish that we could, so that your shrimping and whatever it is that you do down there at night would not be illegal or against our ordinance. But we've done all that we can do, and I think this commission has made a decision. And I would like to, again, join my colleagues in commending Bob for doing, I think, what has been an exceptional job of trying to, accommodate the desires of our residents and trying to fix a mistake that this commission made. But I do want to say that I think that we should be, I wouldn't say careful, but we should understand that the property owners, while they acted in a way that was to their advantage, but that's not abnormal. You know, that's not abnormal. And I don't, as a commission, want to lament them or to rail against them for the decision that they've made. At the end of the day, it was our decision, and it was a wrong decision at that time. We didn't check all of the facts as we should have. But I think it's time for our community to move forward. And it is that you all as a community will be able to heal from this. And if you live in Bridgeport Heights, that's my hope, that you will be able to heal from this. And if you can't heal, I'll pray for you.
Are we taking out the word dock or are we keeping it?
We have decided, from what you all have said, not to take the word dock out. We'd have to have an agreement to do that, but you all have said that, unless you disagree.
We don't want the word dock. I don't want the word dock in there, so nobody can build a dock out there. That's what I was thinking.
That, the
Listen.
current
The current
agreement as
agreement does
proposed.
not allow that.
It does not allow dock.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So this time we have a motion, and we do have a second. So we will engage in a roll call vote.
Okay. Commissioner Strickland?
Aye.
Commissioner May?
Aye.
Commissioner Cantu?
Aye.
Commissioner Henry?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Traeger?
No.
Mayor Derek L. Henry?
No. Motion carries 5 to 2.
Okay. Okay, we're now going to move on to item 10B, which was one of the addendums added to the agenda. So item 10B is the Development and Services Department 2022 Master Plan for Public Property. It's a resolution relating to Biketoberfest 2022 from October 13th through October 16th, 2022, providing for certain parking and traffic uses and regulations, suspending parking regulations in the commercial areas of the controlled parking district from October 7th through October 16th, 2022, in accordance with Section 94-218D of the City Code, authorizing the city to operate paid parking lots at various locations in the Main Street area, authorizing various activities on public property, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Take a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Henry.
And I don't have any speakers for this item, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. We're going to move on to item 10C, which is the Development and Administrative Services Temporary Event Parking associated with Biketoberfest 2022. This is a resolution authorizing temporary event parking on various properties during Biketoberfest 2022 in accordance with Section 5.4.C.11 of the City Lands Development Code, establishing conditions and providing an effective date.
So move.
We have a motion and a second.
And I do have speakers. Our first speaker is Sandy Murphy, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Park Avenue. I think all of you at the dais know that one of the biggest problems that supports blight in this city is vacant properties that are used only on a periodic basis, only for temporary parking. And we have had a bad example already. We gave a right-of-way to Eddie Hennessy's company to support the Streamline Hotel. Instead, now that is in conjunction with our events, mainly ugly RV parking at one of our premier intersections. Now we're talking about adding to the master plan another very large parcel on our main approach to the beach that will, again, make a vacant parcel very profitable for the owner. Why would we do this? We're not even putting any requirements on in terms of beautification. We are just allowing that parcel to be used as it is for a very unattractive purpose and in its current unattractive state. I really think that we have to stop at some point and say, when will we quit doing this? It's a activity that we support over and over. You know, the last motion really did that, but I particularly object to this in that we have expanded the area where we're now supporting profitable use of vacant parcels. And I really think it has to stop sometime, and I would like it to stop here.
Okay. And our next speaker is John Nicholson.
That's true.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. As you know, I live in this area. We've gone through this, the last 30 years. We keep making rules and then we change them. We make a rule on Main Street that you can't knock down buildings and put up tents. Since then, we've knocked down 10 buildings and we have tents on all the properties. We have a problem with the E-zone. Okay, it was created 15 years ago. We were going to revitalize Main Street. There are 9 vacant properties, large accumulated properties. That's the whole idea of a CRA. Instead of having small parcels, you get large parcels that can be redeveloped. We've got 9 of them there, and they've been sitting for almost 20 years. All right, this adds more to it. I don't mind vacating Coates for the Hennessy property. We needed it to develop that corner for the future. But let's not keep adding. If we're going to make this mistake, if you go down Main Street, if you look at the parking lot next to the what's now a barber shop, we owned it at one point. We were supposed to make it a nice tree-lined parking lot, and we didn't. And the owners for the last 15 years have done nothing with it. All right? There are 5 properties with no landscaping. It's just bare asphalt on Main Street. It needs to be landscaped. I agree with Sandy. If we're going to allow this highest and best use, if we want the people that live in the city to make money on their property, but to make money and hurt the city is the wrong thing to do. We have to work on landscaping. Thank you.
Okay.
And my final speaker is Doyle Lewis.
Doyle Lewis, Daytona Beach, United States. Good evening again. Parking is essential for any kind of beach town. I've watched people fight over parking spots on the beach in the last 2 months because of the population that grew in the last 10 years. The ones that cause the most issues are the ones that get here in the afternoon from the cities from the west to come to the beach. So I do agree with making them improve the property, put some landscaping in, keeping them landscaped for eye appeal. But right now, we are kind of in a crisis because of the population of the last 10 to 15 years. So that's a decision you would have to make. I've actually seen people screaming and hollering over parking spots on the beach approaches. I've seen them stop A1A traffic the last couple of holidays in Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach. So it definitely is your decision to make this a parking spot, and that is a hot topic for anything from a motorcycle to a bicycle to an automobile less than 20 feet long. So I'm not against having the parking spot there, because how many times do you need a parking spot really close to the beach on a Saturday and a Sunday during special events? At least there's not a building on this one, but at least make them put some shady spots. That way people with dogs that are packing their car won't have the dog in the heat. The dog can sit down in the shady tree. Thank you.
That was my final speaker on this item, and for the record, Commissioner Traeger has filled out a Form 8B, which is a memorandum of voting conflict, because, and her reasoning on the back is because she's a partial owner of one of the properties.
Oh. Okay. So, all right, we have a motion. Do we have a motion?
We do.
All right, and a second? All right, what's your questions? Do we have any questions for Jim or Rose?
My question is, we're in effect expanding, to whomever, I guess, we're expanding the footprint of. Sorry. We're expanding the footprint of the whole event, and now we're going into a more residential area, because that has residences in front, behind, beside, with the exception of maybe the peninsula area.
Mayor,
To
Commissioner
whomever.
Jim Morris, Deputy City Manager. Commissioner May, you're correct, and if you look, there's two properties that are involved in this that are both owned by the Bidorf family, south of ISB and north of ISB. The north of ISB property is an old, I think it was a Denny's and remnant parking lot. That's on the north side, and the Bidorfs have done a fair amount of work there to clean it up and make it look better. The south side, which is a true expansion, I believe, the north side is bigger than we've had before in a place we haven't had it before, but it's really in the zone of Main Street. It's also within the area the commission had said the commission wanted to see more parking available, so that you had it where people weren't crowded in. Hennessy didn't file an application. He may do that yet, but at any rate, so the north side is Bidorf. I think that's probably fits within the bounds of what you talked about. The south side has not been improved, isn't cleaned up, and I think the representation made by the speakers in respect to its current condition is a correct representation. The commission has a discretion to approve or not approve, and you can subtract things if you wish. This is a commission question, policy question. From a staff perspective, we can outline for you your choices, yes or no, and reasons you may think of, and certainly you can think of reasons of your own. I think I've heard some voices from the sides, discussions going on. So I don't intend to offer an opinion to you one way or another. I think there's a difference between the north side and the south side. Other than that, I wouldn't say much more unless you have other specific questions.
So I can speak to that area a little bit. Highly residential area. When we have events and people go up and down their side streets, it's really bothersome to the residents, and they're there full-time all year round. On the back end, we have some apartments. I recognize that we're very close to the main road, but I have a huge residential population that's extremely stable. And when we have our other events with lots of traffic going through the area, they don't appreciate it one bit. And we've tried doing the roadblocks, closing off the roads on Beachside. It doesn't work. People still shoot through, and it's extremely disturbing to the residents on that particular area. That whole area is very stable. On the other side, that is still smack dab in residences. I realize that I can tell you from experience, if Captain Lee was here, he'd tell you, we have a gentleman who is very close to the Hennessy property. Every single event, when they had RVs parked there, huge problems for this gentleman. It was making him and his wife crazy. They would call us all the time. So whenever you have this mix, even temporary, it's really hard on the residents. I recognize we need parking, but from trying to build a stable neighborhood, I'm not in agreement with it for the residents in that area. And again, based on previous conversations they've had with us and emails they've sent us over the time. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, in respect to Hennessy, which isn't a part of the application, but we worked on that one the last time to have a license to have some control over what occurred there, where it was occurring without license and without any control whatsoever other than code enforcement coming in behind to try and clean it up. So the object with Hennessy in respect to providing parking within the ambit of Main Street, as well as having control of some sort in the form of a permit, and withholding the permit was a part of the rationale. That's happened, I believe, one time to date. The other ones that occurred were done without permits, and they simply happened, and there were actually RVs there with people staying in the RVs.
Right.
I know code enforcement the last time worked hard to make sure it purely was parking, not occupied or used, as it had been in prior occasions, which have been complained about quite a bit.
In general, the experience that residents have had with the entire process has been uncomfortable for them. And they've gone so far as to contact us, let us know we made changes, et cetera.
And that item isn't even on your agenda tonight. Hennessy may still...
Nice, but the experience is the same. It's still embedded within a community, behind neighborhoods and beside neighborhoods.
All I'm saying is we took steps to try and address some of those concerns by permitting and licensing, and that's why we did it.
What she's referencing to is not.
It's not on your items tonight, no.
Giving an example of what has been said in the past.
You saved me a parking space. All right, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I got some comments on it. You know, we have temporary park, excuse me?
No, the rest of the floor is closed. Go ahead.
We've had temporary parking throughout our city. Perfect example, the year-round temporary parking lot that's been there for what, 25 or 30 years between Ocean Avenue and Atlantic. You know, Hennessy came in a few years ago and did a great job with the hotel, and the next thing we know, got this huge parking lot out there. You know, Biddorf's come before the previous city manager many times asking for things, and all he ever got was no. He's got some empty property over there. It's only for the weekend. It won't be every day and every night like Ocean Avenue and Atlantic. I don't see a problem unless we're going to close down all the temporary parking lots and start over with this process, why we would say no to this guy to make a few bucks for 3 or 4 days. Now, not to allow him to do that every weekend or that sort of thing, but I don't see any problem with it for Bike Week or Biketoberfest. To me, we hadn't drawn the line before. Why all of a sudden we're going to draw the line on this? It makes no sense, especially on the north side property that Mr. Morris was talking about, the old Denny's property. If you're not going to do both of them, at least do the north side.
So are we expanding the footprint then of the Bike Week experience in general? Would this expand the footprint? I know it's just parking, but we are in fact expanding it to encompass, because you've got to get from point A to point B, so there's going to be cross traffic, et cetera, in that entire area. I'm just curious. Yeah.
I agree with Commissioner Strickland.
Okay, you agree with Commissioner Strickland? All right, we have, and it's going to be interesting. Very interesting. You agree with Commissioner Strickland, so you agree with Commissioner Strickland, and you three kind of not for it. So that means,
I mean, you're
what I think
saying
matters.
Oktoberfest, Bike Week, right?
Okay, let me say this. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And I believe someone should be able to make money if they need to make money.
Yeah. I do want people to make money, but Main Street and the adjacent areas have had a halted level of improvement. In part because of what we allow during Bike Week. And that's a hard thing to say. And we have stated that we want to see it improve. And we've done things to try to get it to improve. And we've had meetings to try to consider changing the rules. So maybe we should consider saying that, you know, he's got a point though. This guy just waits until the last minute, not until the last minute. This guy now wants to make money. Why should we just penalize him when we haven't penalized other people? So he needs to know now so he can be a part of the Bike Week plan. Is that right? So he'll be a part of this master plan? Biketoberfest, I mix them up.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, this is Biketoberfest only.
Yeah.
You'll see a process again for Bike Week and whatever may come during that. And the way this stuff works typically as Biketoberfest occurs, you're starting to roll into Bike Week, and when Bike Week occurs, you're starting to roll into Biketoberfest. They cycle in pretty tight circles through the year. But right now, it's only Biketoberfest.
Okay. I would say that we should not expand the footprint. I would agree with not expanding the footprint, but I also agree with Commissioner Strickland that we shouldn't penalize this gentleman without coming with a set of overall prescriptions that say that everybody's going to have to raise their standard, which I believe in. I believe we're past that. So that's what I would support. Okay. All right. So it means that you have a question? What does it mean? It means that I'm supporting not expanding the footprint. He will be allowed to use it on what's the north end.
North side.
He'd be able to do it on the north side. And then I would like for us to come back with a standard that says it's time for everyone to raise their standard if they want to be able to do this. I'm past property owners just keeping their property dilapidated to make money off parking.
And so does this mean that only the north side and not the south side? Is that correct?
It means yes.
Just the north side? Okay.
Can we agree to that? And then we'll find out.
We will find out how the residents feel in that area.
How the residents feel.
When this unfolds, we'll see the impact it has on the side streets, on Grandview, on the cross streets. We'll see what this does. Also with regard to noise. And I recognize that it's just Bike Week and it's only 2 days, but for 2 days, it does make a difference to the people who live there. So that's just a consideration.
No doubt. Okay, we have a motion. And well, do we have a motion?
Yeah.
What is
I
our
believe we had
motion? It needs to be
Cantu and Commissioner
adjusted.
Henry.
Doesn't it need to be adjusted?
It needs to be
include, amended, to include only the north side?
of ISB.
I would like to amend my motion to only the north side.
Okay.
I'd like to amend my second to only the north side.
Okay.
Okay. Is that sufficient and adequate, Mr. Attorney?
I need to defer to Mr. Morris to make sure that that is something that we can define in the resolution as a valid cutoff point.
From the perspective of the motion, Mayor, if the south side of ISB is deleted from the motion to approve, the balance is approved pursuant to the motion, the south side is not, and it wouldn't be permitted.
Okay, so that would be an appropriate motion then.
Okay. That was a lot of legal.
I wasn't trying for it.
Yeah, okay.
I thought you were past the point I needed to listen, and Rose was talking to me, so I didn't get to hear it all.
Just have to say yes or no.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a
Yes.
second. We'll take a roll call vote excluding Commissioner Traeger.
Commissioner Strickland,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Well, I'll be clear on what my vote means, okay? Thank you. I don't want any of it. Is that even on the table for me to say that? That I don't want either north
You
or
just said
south?
no.
I just know then. Good, thank you.
Commissioner Cantu,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
I'm willing to try it this time, see how it works. Yes.
Mayor Derek L. Henry.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes
That's
5-1.
Okay.
Okay. That was our final item on the agenda.
Okay, we started with,
Mayor, we need to
Commissioner
revisit
we
one
need to
item.
revisit 9A.
Yes, if I may.
That's right.
9A on your agenda was Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Logistics Park, Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. It's DEV 2022-052. That was an ordinance on first reading, public hearing. I was approached by Cobb Cole, and they reminded me that we need to actually have a vote on that so that we would approve transmittal to the
Transmission
state.
to the state.
Yes, I know. Tisha talked to me about this earlier. So they would like a vote, and I would agree that a vote is necessary to transmit the comprehensive plan amendment to the state for review, which is our standard practice.
So move.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have to take public comment?
Yes, we would, Mayor.
Would anyone like to speak on this item?
Thank you for not
Okay.
having to speak on this item. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. That is our last item on the agenda.
All right, we will move to commission comments. Who's first? Is it Commissioner
Strickland.
Oh, wow. I just want to say thanks to our police department as quickly as they wrapped up that case the other day. I live over there, and had to drive around in circles some to get to and from home, but they did great work, and I appreciate that. And I don't know, we just got to hire some more cops. And we've already put, money up to provide the bonus. We've also gave them a raise, lowered the retirement age, the retirement time. I don't know what else we can do, but we've got to have more police officers, that area and citywide. My other thing is there's been some issues that Mr. Jagger and I had talked about with the parking lot over at City Island. And I received a text after the meeting started that there will be a deputy over there to kind of monitor that situation going forward, just for information there. We have early voting also over at Midtown Community Center, which the voters don't have to go through the gauntlet that they suffer over at City Island. So I'm going to call Lisa Lewis tomorrow and see if we can't get some signage to direct people there, and then they don't have, whether there's a gauntlet over here or not, they can just go over there and vote. The other thing is that, never mind, you want to get out of here, and I do too. Good night.
Who's the vice mayor?
I believe it is Commissioner Reed.
She
I
left.
thought she was.
Restroom, maybe.
Do we even
Maybe
know who the commission, who it is?
She went to, okay. Yeah, I usually know when I need them. I ask.
Put it away.
Just whenever I need it.
Okay. So from July 16th of 2022 through November 15th of 2022, it is Zone 6.
Okay, so it's Commissioner Reed. Okay, Commissioner May?
So this week I went to the Marine Corps Convention at the Hilton. It was fantastic. Completely enjoyed the company I was keeping there. Wonderful human beings. Also had a DDA meeting, so look forward to more events downtown, probably 2 a month, if not more. And also the month of December as well as November, the park, the Esplanade, will be activating, and they have something called December to Remember. There's something happening almost every day, every single week. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
No comment. Good night.
Just one comment, and that is that movie night will be rescheduled because it rained, but I want to thank staff for doing a fantastic job, and it was really nice while it lasted.
Awesome. Commissioner Traeger?
No comment.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes, sir.
You have any comment?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that it was an honor to represent our city at the Florida League of Cities. It was the best Florida League of Cities conference I've attended. It was the 100th city manager. And I was honored to moderate a workshop, and a lot of compliments in regards to how that was handled. Also, there was a breakfast that I was able to give greetings at. And I just challenge and encourage each and every one of you to join us next year. It'll be in Orlando, okay? And I had one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, excited about the unveiling of the bronze statue in the morning, okay?
Yeah, I hope that you all can make it. I understand if you can't, because that's the nature of life.
I might be late. I have to go to the Marine Corps to do your proclamation.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you for that, too. I can't be in 2 places at once. 2 things. She did a fantastic job. She facilitated a discussion on development, and if your city is ready, if your community is ready. And I went away wondering, I went in wondering, you're never totally ready, but we are what we are. And it was great. It was a great conference. I also want to encourage us to support her. She's going to be exiting her term as president of our local league. She's done a great job. So especially in December, which is when we host the meeting. So let's all try to show up and support her tenure as well as our community. It was a great conference and learned a lot. Today I went to B. Braun Medical for the ribbon cutting of their facility, which has grown to 500 employees with over, the jobs that they pay way above median income in our area. And that has been a project that the city, the county, and the state help to support by offering incentives for those jobs to come to our community. And they are growing. They are going to grow and expand the facility. They've already got the footprint in place. So within the next 2 to 3 years, we're hoping for we will have even more jobs. The who's who of economic development, as well as members. Michael Waltz was there. Folks from the governor was scheduled to be there, but he didn't make it, as well as Senator Rick Scott, who did send us a Skype message. So that's a great project. Let's continue to support that, and let's continue to be great. And Commissioner Reed, this belongs to you. I want to. There you go. Good night.
What?
No, come on down. I just slipped
Yeah.
Deputy City Manager a note to read.
We just wanted to remind the commission that there's a growth management workshop next Wednesday, August 24th at 6 p.m. at the Yvonne Scarlett Golden Center.
All right, everyone has spoken? Did you have anything to say, Mr. Attorney?
No.
All right, so now we'll hear from our citizens.
Okay. Our first speaker is Marjorie Johnson, and on deck is Libby Coleman.
Marjorie Johnson, 122 South Beach Street. I'm here tonight to talk about the flooding problem that we have over in Midtown. It's been going on for some time, and it needs to be taken care of because we're in a hurricane season, and I'm going to be coming to every meeting to talk about it. This is in Zone 6. And the people that live over there on Carter Circle and over on Maley and all that area over there, they are flooded out. Patrick Henry bought a house over there one time, so they are familiar. He didn't stay in the house. His sister was in the house before it was foreclosed on. So I would like to say that the retention pond has no backup pump over there. And when a storm come in, those people's houses are full of water. And when Ken Strickland ran, he talked about that all the time. Oh, the flooding problem over in Midtown hasn't been fixed, and that's correct. And it needs to be fixed. You're sitting here drawing paychecks, and you're not getting your work done. I also like to say that I was very disappointed that when the Bethune-Cookman Alumni came here, you was putting signs on the seat, and it went on the computer. The people know about it. This is a public building. This is discrimination. When you put signs on seat in public building, I spoke with an attorney about it, and he said you're not supposed to do that. These people are sitting here thinking they can do whatever they want to do. When the lawsuits come, that's when you know you can't. You got lawsuits from Huger. He got a lot of money from this city because you abused him severely. And then the lady that was working on it with him, she got money too. So you keep pushing these people around, and you're going to get some more lawsuits. I was called in to testify, and I said, yeah, there is a lot of injustice going on in the city of Daytona Beach, and these people are catching it, and you all sitting here just throwing free paychecks. You're not concerned about the people. You're not meeting with the people, and you're not answering their questions, and that's a problem. So I like to say tonight, you need to do your job. You need to bridge the gap that you have created between yourself and the taxpaying citizens of this community. And stop making excuses for your failure to do your work. When you didn't show up for the meeting, you sat there and said, oh, I know how you felt when I didn't show up. I had a meeting, somebody didn't show up. But you never set up another meeting. The people elected you to do it. I personally never voted for you. I knew that you had been in City Hall and you weren't going to do nothing for the people, and that you proved me to be correct. All of you need to do your work. Nita May has an opponent. He's not happy. He's going to get the
Okay. Our next speaker is Libby Coleman, and on deck is Chris Dawn.
back again. We have problems with the retention pond. And somebody needs to go out and check on it, see what's going on. If it's not done, then all of the homes in Carter Circle South, we're gonna lose our homes. I hadn't been too long moved out there, and I knew about the retention pond, but I didn't know it was that dangerous. And I think that the mayor needs to go out there, and all of his constituents that follows behind him. And I live there. I've been here every time there was a meeting. And he has not been out. Paula has not been out. And it's very disturbing to me. You go in other areas, not in the black area. And I'm not being prejudiced, but you'll see about other people before you come and see about me. And there are other people in the area that lives in Carter Circle. And I'm very interested in why the mayor can't come out and handle the situation. If he can't do it, he needs to get someone to come out, because we are in deep, deep trouble. And nobody's coming out to see about us. But it was another color, they would have been out there a long time ago. He would have. I'm speaking about the mayor. And so he's not doing his job. And it's not fair. It's not right. And also, I look at my commissioner. She's been out there one time. Paula, Miss Paula Reed. And she has not come back. And our supposed to be Big Top, the mayor, he has not been out there one time. And it's very disturbing. It annoys me. And something needs to be done. Coming out one time, you go in other areas, and you do what needs to be done there. But I'm not the only one that stay in the circle. I chose to stay there. And it must have been about 5 or 6 years ago, one of our members, it flooded. They had to go across on the beach side to stay. And we donated money for her and her family. And I feel we felt for her and her family. So I'm out there now. And nobody is coming to our rescue. You just can't sit on your buns and say what you can or cannot do. There's no such thing in the English language. What you can't do is that you don't do, because, and I figure like this, it's the color of my skin. Everybody else, they're light skin or whatever, the race,
Your time
you
is
would
up.
have been out there.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time has expired.
Ms. Coleman, perhaps you've only seen me once, but I come to Cottle Circle quite often. I live around the corner from Cottle Circle. You may be, but I'm not. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you and Ms. Johnson coming to the meeting and voicing your opinion. And several things have been done by the city in regards to try to alleviate the what is it they say it do? The flooding, thank you. It floods in my neighborhood as well. I live off of Adams and Magnolia. And this is my turn to talk.
Yes.
And so, you know, we understand that it's like a soup bowl in Midtown. When you rise up here on Ridgewood, it gets high. When you go down by Mainland High School, it gets high. But it's a soup bowl in the Midtown area. And we're continuing to do things. We're looking for money from the state. And when you mentioned the retention pond, did you mean it's rising and we need to lower it? Is that what it is, so that the flood doesn't happen?
Well, the only thing it is the flood.
Okay, so we need to lower the retention pond.
Because there are neighbors out there, they've been out there before I got there. So we just need something done about it. And like you said, our commissioner,
We've written it down.
we have a mayor, and something needs to be done. I don't need to come here every time.
No, ma'am, you do not. We've heard you.
It drives me up the wall.
All righty. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chris Don, and on deck is Carolyn Gatson. Is it Shank? Correct. Okay. Shank. Mr. Don. Okay. Carolyn, you're our next speaker. Chris Don. Don.
Is that your name? Last name, Chris?
That's not Chris. Mhm. I think he left.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Carolyn Gatson-Shank, a native Floridian, a resident of the city of Daytona, and a registered voter. I'm here tonight to discuss or to make known behaviors of the city of Daytona Beach's First Step Shelter. Their unethical approach to addressing crimes committed under their supervision. On March 24, 2022, approximately maybe 5 months ago, I was sexually assaulted when they turned out the lights. I was seriously injured, leaving medical bills for over $12,000. First Step Shelter Executive Administrator Dr. Fahlberg stated that she has been advised by counsel to be silent. And the residents there were advised to squash the situation. I strongly believe that any place of business that refuses to allow investigations of any kind, those behaviors speak volume as to that they are above the law and cannot be held accountable for their actions. It is my opinion that it's called aiding and abetting criminal acts. Hence, those who participate in that, are involved in that, in those situations should be viewed as criminals themselves. I have been told that the First Step Shelter is operating under the umbrella of the City of Daytona Beach and or Daytona Beach Police Department. I need to know exactly what role does the City of Daytona Beach play or does not play in this situation. Thank you all respectfully. The mayor is aware of this. He had an email of this. Daytona Beach Police Department is aware. First Step Shelter is aware. The board members of the First Step Shelter are aware. But when I looked at their website, their names and contact information has been removed from that site, which creates a bigger problem so that the crimes that are committed in there and are covered up cannot get out to the outside. And granted, most homeless people don't have a voice, not only in this city, but any city, okay? I lost my home and that's how I ended up there temporarily, okay? And then, as I stated, I was seriously injured out there. I have medical bills, I need follow-up care. I cannot sleep on the back of my head because of my head hitting the bunk, okay? And my neck and shoulder. And it is unethical, inhumane for people like that at the shelter out there to treat victims of crimes in this fashion. Now, the mayor is fully aware of it, okay? And it's too bad he's not here tonight because he knew me, okay? And I know he had personal business, but Ms. Cantu and the others that are not here, I hope that you all pass along this information to them, but something needs to be done because what's written on the website for First Step Shelter is not what happens inside. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And good night.
Our next speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge. Yeah, I'm sorry that we no longer have a quorum at this meeting. I'm sorry that several of the commissioners that were here have left and I can't address them. As you know, I'm probably, it's no surprise, I'm very disappointed in how the vote went. Again, all the facts, I'm glad that the mayor stayed his ground. He realized he made a mistake with Bridgeport Heights. If you think you're tired of it, I've been on this for over 2 years now. I've been to every single meeting except for when I was hospitalized. I've been to every single meeting. I don't get paid exorbitant salaries like some of the people over in this side of the room get paid. I'm here as a citizen to try and make sure this government does things correctly. They were not. People with the right names were given wrong. That needs to stop. And as you find out, for you commissioners here, and I know Commissioner Henry, and thank you for your kind words on the issue. I'm sorry your vote didn't go the right way, but I know you're all tired of hearing about it. Well, 96 years got reversed. But what you're going to find out is some of those same names that I have brought up, you're going to find are responsible for flooding minority neighborhoods in Midtown. In the interest of their commercial properties, and I'm sorry, Ms. Cantu's not here, her development also added to the problem. I've had a chance to go through the neighborhood I'm a retired engineer. I spent a great deal of time in water and wastewater. I understand how the system is run. If I lived there, I would be scared to death because that retention pond is inadequate for what has been dumped into it. The water flow all the way from the development over in Ms. Cantu's area, all the way through the airport, and everything is now funneled, and you call it a soup bowl, Commissioner. You're correct, but when you take and keep pouring more and more into that fishbowl for the privileged few, a certain mayor who had a great number of car dealerships, which he didn't want flooded, now guess where it ended up? Okay, now I happen to be from a non-minority race, but I feel bad for the people that live there. I have walked those systems. I've looked at the inadequacy of it. It's scary. You'll be hearing more from me later as soon as I get some more of the engineering documents on the pipe sizes and the exact gallon flow from the pumps, which I don't have at this time. But, you know, the important thing is, and as the mayor admitted, he made a mistake. We got to make sure that this commission doesn't make these same kinds of mistakes again. Not in the floodplains and not in giving away public lands. And this needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Ann Ruby.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. I haven't seen so few commissioners since Jim Chisholm decided not to have public comments. Yes, 6 of the 8 are gone. That's pretty bad. When Jim first denied the public the right to speak at a city commission meeting, he moved it to an hour before the commission meetings, and only one person showed up, and she was a city clerk, and Jennifer was the only one here. There were no commissioners, no mayor, no city manager. The mayor never showed up at any meeting. The city manager never showed up at any meeting. Rob Gilliland never showed up at any meeting. There was very few that showed up. So it's unfortunate that they left. This is an early meeting, 7:30. We don't usually get out of here by 7:30. So I don't know why they had to leave like this.
You missed that?
What?
The anniversary of the officer's death. There's a ceremony.
Oh, that's why they're leaving?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to go.
Okay, then I feel sorry for you all.
Somebody should be here.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't.
Okay, thank you. Now, on the expansion of the Bike Week and Biketoberfest, because this will be both Bike Week and Biketoberfest, you forget that that property is on International. Those bikers have to go through an entire neighborhood. 30 years ago, we wanted to keep it right along Main Street. The parking was kept right along Main Street. You had a business, right behind a business, you could have parking. Now, 4 blocks away, you're allowing parking for Bike Week. Those bikes will go through that neighborhood, and all those residents on those 2 streets will constantly have traffic, which they've never had in the past. So yes, you have expanded it. It's not an ideal situation. Secondly, again, Ms. Cantu is talking about people should make money. She went crazy when Amazon went in her neighborhood 5 blocks away. Yet she felt it's okay that this neighborhood should be destroyed. And lastly, I was at the county council yesterday. In the last year, the city of Daytona Beach, its residents or its commissioner, have attacked the county council members. 5 county council members have been attacked by either commissioners or organizations from the city of Daytona Beach. How are we going to work well with the county council if our city keeps attacking individual council members? Fred Lowry got attacked. Billy Wheeler got attacked. Well, both our commissioners, our council members got attacked. Then yesterday, Jeff Brower got attacked, the county chair, deliberately by a commissioner who really shouldn't have, all right? She mentioned it again today. It's truthful. She did talk about toilet to tap. It should not be
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Ann Ruby, and on deck is Sandy Murphy.
Before Ann speaks, I want to say I don't think it was an attack. I think it was a defense of our city, and I think that's the way we're going to view it. Ann.
Hi, Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. I've heard Miss Libby Coleman come up here and talk about her problems for, I don't know, three meetings now, I think, maybe 4. I think one of the things that might be helpful is if someone from the city would take the time, not necessarily a commissioner, but someone on staff, take the time, because I remember I got this explanation once, and show the map and then show what the Army Corps of Engineer project is and how we're waiting for the funding. That's been approved. We're waiting for the funding. And now with this new end recession, whatever it is, that new bill that just got passed, maybe there'll be some money for it. And that could provide a lot of relief, but I think providing more information would be very, very helpful, just in terms of education. And then on the Bike Week master plan, as soon as you say master plan, all of a sudden it's like vapors come up from the ground, and it's just an aura of evil that happens. Because really, that Bike Week master plan, the way it is implemented, is terrible. It's terrible. The sketches are awful. The Hennessy lot gets parked up. He's not even in it. I mean, it is a big, big mess. And you can't now, we're done with Biketoberfest. Now we're running right into Bike Week. And it's going to be the same mess. It's going to be the same horrible sketches, the same horrible applications over and over and over again. So, I don't know what you're going to do about it, but at some point, things gotta change. Hennessy's lot should be empty. There should be no RVs parked there. If you look at the Traeger application, their application, the sketch is terrible. It doesn't represent at all what they're doing unless they fixed it. There was another one that had the wrong parcel ID. I think they did fix that. So there's stuff in that master plan that is just awful. And so as soon as, I don't know why Bittorf's thing had to be included as part of a master plan idea, why it couldn't just have been him applying for a parking permit. But that master plan stuff is messy, it's nasty, and it's indefensible the way it is now. And I'm done yelling at you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruby.
Our next speaker is Sandy Murphy, and on deck is Chris Torrance.
Sandy Murphy, 136 Park Avenue. I'm going to continue yelling at you. I agree. Everything Ann said is absolutely correct. Jim Morris put his finger on it. You go from Bike Week to Biketoberfest to Bike Week to Biketoberfest in this constant rotation, and there's never a point in time when everything stops and people can take a step back, take a look at this plan, and say, does this even make sense anymore? Is it meeting our objectives? There has been a workshop by the commission. People have given it thought, but it's as if because that time never comes, nothing ever changes. And, I'm sorry in one sense that Bittorf had to be the point of this, because I know Will has tried to do good things with his property there and hasn't been able to make that happen. So I don't think it's anything against the Bittorfs, but I think it's a process that we need to get a handle on. And I would absolutely hope and pray that the commission would ask staff to come up with a schedule for reviewing that plan, making changes, and incorporating recommendations from the community. You have some people in this town who are experts, especially when it comes to the parking. And if you can draw on those resources, I think that you could really improve this plan fairly quickly. It's a matter of will, it's a matter of setting aside the time, and I hope that you will instruct the staff to try to tackle that.
Our next speaker is Chris Torrance.
Chris Torrance, 200 South Carolina. Before I moved in my house in November, it was a wreck there because of the intersection, people speeding up in that Carolina and Magnolia. Probably about in May, it was another wreck This time they hit my garage and also hit the house across the street, same intersection. Sunday, when she was coming back, heading to her house, she see what another car hit if it didn't hit the coquina rock, it would have been in my kitchen. So what I'm trying to say, before I take matters in my own hand, I want something done at that intersection, because my father-in-law said he been living there 50-some years, and it's been problems, and it hasn't been nothing done yet. So I'm just asking if they can. I know I talked to Andy about getting some more coquina for me and the neighbor whose house has been hit. And he said he would get with me, but we need to do something about that intersection, because it's not 1,000 feet from International to Orange Avenue, and people, they got a speed bump there, but it's not helping. So I'm just trying to get something done before somebody get killed or seriously hurt. It was 2 girls laid out in the road Sunday. One looked like she had a broke leg. Her nose was broke from the impact that hit. God forbid the little baby didn't get hurt, but it's just a dangerous intersection. So I'm just asking if something can be done at that intersection. So, thank you.
Thank you. I spoke on this at one of our commission meetings, and Andy does have Mr. Charles's address, and we're looking at maybe a sorry, little lights on. That means my mic's not on, little lights flashing at me. We were looking at either a 4-way stop or a flashing red, or even those permanent concrete speed bumps at the intersection. Because I don't know if they just can't see, aren't looking, or just don't realize that they're supposed to stop. But as Mr. Torrance was saying, they just built this house. It's a brand new home. Before he and his wife could move in, they had already hit the house. His move-in was delayed. And then in May, there was the other accident. And then Sunday, when I was returning from the conference, I just happened to drive up our street and ran into an accident already having taken place. So that's ridiculous. They haven't been in their new home a full year yet, and 3 accidents have taken place at the intersection of their home.
Where is this? Tell me again.
Caroline and Magnolia.
Okay.
Caroline and Magnolia. So we've spoken with Andy. Andy has given him his card, and we're going to do something about this. Okay?
Our final speaker tonight is Doyle Lewis.
Good evening. Doyle Lewis, Daytona Beach, United States. I'm glad the gentleman came in. Several months or several years ago, I talked about going to college and going to the beach and going to college on a bicycle. The area between US 1 and his area, that's where I believe this is where most of the stop sign runners are. I've almost got hit there almost every single day on a bicycle, going down International, going to Daytona State. So it has been going on for a very, very long time. That was an add-on to the 4 things I got written down. Number 1, Daytona Beach, Florida. Daytona Beach side, parking, autos and bicycles. I've been told by some city employees, not Daytona's, but I go through 3 or 4 towns, that bicycles really aren't supposed to be parked in your parks and stuff. You got a little bicycle parking lot. I got an RV bicycle. Bicycle's like 6.5, 7 feet long with a trailer that I tow. Very hard to park it. So I try to park it to the side. No matter where anybody parks that bicycle, most people around here know me. That is my bicycle. The people who actually know it leave it alone usually. Usually the newbies that come in that work for the cities or somebody coming off. I don't lose much. So let's just kind of work on anything in the Daytona Beach area, especially between Main Street and International, to secure these expensive bicycles a little bit better, to keep them from disappearing on people who might want to not be on the roads. Ride a bicycle nice and easily, a mile or 2 to the grocery stores and things like that. So whenever you're looking at a parking lot, especially a temporary parking lot, how about the people that want to ride a bicycle and secure it? Because I don't see many places like that. So let's work on that, please. Number 2, First Step Shelter. I was going to do a minute on that. I only got 50 seconds. They studied and studied and studied and studied and studied. And from what I understand from most of the people that do not do criminal activity, the First Step Shelter has been doing a wonderful job ever since day one. Sometimes things happen because somebody has a breakdown. Somebody tried to take advantage of somebody. That's going to happen. But from what I understand with this First Step Shelter, the whole reason why they operate separate from everything else is so they can't blame everybody else for running it. It's one of the best set up shelters in the country, and it's being watched by Washington, D.C. I remember it because I used to fight for it, and I'm glad it's there. I apologize somebody got hurt. That ain't the first time. It won't be the last time. And I'm glad it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Does anyone else have anything to say? All right, this meeting is adjourned. God bless America and God bless Daytona Beach.